Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode. I must have somebody doing lawn work every morning in this neighborhood. I guess it is cooler right now. Happy Thursday, August 2nd. We're gonna probably have a little short one like we did yesterday, a little short episode. But I wanted to chat about this real quick because I've been getting asked these questions a lot. If you've listened to the podcast at all or know anything about me, you know that I owned a mortgage company for about 10 years. Got out of the mortgage company in 2008, which was a really good time to get out of the mortgage company. But, lost everything. I lost everything in the crash. Had a foreclosure. We continue to go on. I can go on and on and on about what we lost and had, pretty much hit rock bottom and had to claw my way back. Anyways, I wanted to read something to you today, and this is from our Federal Reserve Chairman. This is talking about loans. It says the increase in the prevalence of interest-only loans and the introduction of more exotic forms of adjustable rate mortgages are developments of particular concerns. Some households may be employing these instruments to purchase homes that would otherwise be unaffordable, and consequently, their use could be adding pressures to the housing market. So that's what our Fed chair just said. Except that was Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan, and that statement was made in 2005. So it was talking about interest-only loans and more exotic loans. Those exotic loans he was talking about was stuff called pick-a-pay loans. Pick-a-pay loans was developed for business owners who had cyclical businesses. Take, for instance, a florist. A florist, usually in the summer, does not do as well. It's slow. June, they have some weddings. July, August, even into September, they don't do as well. October picks up a little bit from Halloween, Thanksgiving and Christmas, November and December. And the spring is usually their biggest because Mother's Day is the biggest day for a florist, followed up by the second biggest day of Valentine's Day. I know too much about this because my wife grew up in the flower business, is currently still working in the flower business. So I know more about flowers than I probably should. Except when I'm showing a house and somebody says, what type of flower is that? I look at them and go, that one's a pink one. I don't know. I just got me. But I digress. What the loan was built for, the pick-a-pay loan was built for folks like that, so that in July and August, basically the premise for the loan was you could pick your payment. There were a couple of options. You could pay a full payment, principal and interest. You could pay an interest-only payment, or you could pay the minimum payment, which did not even cover the interest for that month. Or you could pay more than the principal and interest payment. So what the loan was built for was during, Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, the florist would actually make more than the principal and interest, bringing it actually down. But in July and August, when they were struggling, they had a less of a payment. Problem is, a lot of those loans were given to teachers, firefighters, cops, anyone having a steady paycheck, same check every week, every month, every year. Well, if you have the same check, why are you doing a pick-a-pay loan? Because what are we going to typically do? We're going to pick the payment that is the least amount. That means we're going to wind up not even covering the interest. Our balance is going to grow, not decrease. And we went into the crash. Those were the exotic loans that Mr. Greenspan was speaking of. So now when I hear that lending standards are getting less, they're not as stringent. When I hear about interest-only loans coming back, or when I have conversations about bank statement loans or stated income loans as a comeback from back in the day. Those loans are back now. They are done here in the state. There's not a whole lot of lenders doing them. But if you know the right lenders, you can find them and you can get them done. But what's the difference between now and, let's say, 13 years ago when Mr. Greenspan was talking about these exotic loans? The difference is there's a huge one. A, you're not getting 100% loan to value for this. Meaning you're not going to do a stated loan and get 100% loan to value. You might get 90 if you can prove all your assets. There's two different types of stated loans: stated income, stated assets, or SISA, or SIVA, stated income verified assets. And if you do stated income verified assets, you may be able to get 90%. But for the most part, those are 80 and even 75% loans. So you have to put some money down. Those are the exotic loans. Is our debt to income ratios allowed to be risen just a little? Yeah, they have, even with Fannie and Freddie. Some of those lending standards have risen just a little. But I've said this since the crash. So what, 10 years now? I've been saying this is a decade. Before the crash, from 2000, we'll say 2001, 2002 to 2008, the pendulum had swung too far one way or the other. It was too loose. My wife used to look at me and go, man, some of y'all's lending standards with banks that, were coming in trying to get me to buy money from them. I would ask them what their standards were, and my wife would be sitting there listening too, and she goes, so basically as long as somebody's breathing, they qualify. My 18-year-old who has a 720 credit score, right, or a 780 credit score, but if you actually look at his credit, it's because he has one credit card for $500 and he's paid it on time for 6 months. Well, if you've paid everything on time for 6 months, you're going to have a really good credit score. At 750, and he's got a job, as a server at a hibachi place. Well, he can buy 10 investment properties. That was in 2005. You can't do that now. So the pendulum swung way too loose in those times. But in 2008, 2009, 2010, the banks were losing so much money because of all their loose standards. They had to tighten up. But the pendulum didn't stop in the normal market range where everyone could be serviced. Instead, they had to go the opposite to counterbalance what they had done before. So the last few years have been very, very, very conservative. It took an act of Congress to get, you had to prove everything, which is fine. You should have to prove some stuff. We shouldn't be able to do the no-doc loans that we did before at 100% financing. That doesn't make sense. Is there a no-doc loan out there? Sure. Does it require some down payment? Absolutely. I know a no-doc loans right now that as long as you put 40% down, they're fine. You got to have a certain credit score and you put 40% down. Okay, here you go. No problem. But, back in 2006, I could do that no-doc loan with 100% financing. And it wasn't bad interest rates either. Are some of these standards starting to loosen? Yes. Are we anywhere close to where we were in 2006? Nowhere close. Not even. As a matter of fact, one of the studies, let me figure out what that study was because I wrote it down here. July Housing Credit Availability Index reveals that credit availability rose to 5.9%. In context, they went on to explain, there is significant space remains to safely expand the credit box. If the current default risk was to double across all channels, risk would still be well within pre-crisis standards of 12.5% from 2001 to 2003 for the whole mortgage market. Basically, if we doubled the risk availability, doubled it, it would still, you're nowhere close. So I hear sometimes people saying, well, we're just setting up for another crash. No. Do I think there's going to be a little bit of a recession in 2020? Yeah. Do I think it's going to affect housing? Some. Do I think it's going to make housing go down? Nope, not at all. Not even close. Do I think that we're not going to see the quiet appreciation that we saw? Yeah, probably. We may only see 1%, 2%, 3% a year. But that's a good, solid market. Why did we get so greedy to where we have to see double-digit returns every year in order to think that real estate is a good investment? That's not how that works. Especially since you're looking at, if you get 2% a year, but you got a $200,000 house and you only put $10,000 down, you're getting the 2% of appreciation on all $200,000, even though you've borrowed the bank money for $190,000. Anyways, it's Thursday. I can go on and on about lending standards, but I'm not going to. So that's all I got for you today. As always, if you've not subscribed to get the tips, trips, graphs, infographics, links, get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. That's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, if you have not subscribed on your player of choice to get notified when we do updates on these, get over to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Android. We're on all of them that I think of. If you know of one, if there's one that you go look and we're not there, let me know. Send me a message because we'll figure out how we can get on that one too. But get over to your player of choice, hit subscribe, hit like, give me a heart, give me a thumbs up, give me a nice comment. And finally, like always, Always in the podcast the same way. I don't ask for any money for these, although it costs me money to make them. I do ask that if I brought any value to you in this or any other episode, that you share it on social media. Have a great Thursday.